Good afternoon. I want to welcome everybody to be here today. It's going to be a joint session between the city of Manchester and to discuss the intergovernmental agreement between the two parties and their West County Board of Commissioners. Purpose of the work session is not to discuss the future of recreation, but to discuss whether we continue our intergovernmental agreement with Manchester while we work on future recreation planning. Starting in the next couple of months, we will be holding additional work sessions with all the municipalities to discuss recreation going forward. We'll need everyone's input at that time to help develop a plan to provide recreation opportunities for all the citizens of Marion County. So for today, I'd like to thank everybody here, and I'm going to call our meeting to order for Marion County Board of Commissioners on today's date, the 27th of February at 4 o'clock for the work session. I'll let y'all call your meeting to order too, sir.
All right. I'd like to call the meeting of the City Council of Manchester together. We have a quorum here, so call the meeting at 5:02 or 4:02. Sorry about that. I jumped in 4:02 on the 27th.
So both call our meetings to order, and we know what we're here for. And I guess Darren, would you like to sit over here with there on this side?
Thank you, Dan. Thank you. One good thing about me, the folks have been working. Thank you. So everybody, all the work.
Adam Worsley, District 5.
Jane King, District 1, Chairman.
Russell Plant, District 2.
Emmett Collins, District 3.
Mark Trimble, Mayor of Manchester.
Cortez Warrior, Mayor Pro Tem, City of Manchester.
Daniel Wadsworth, City Council of Manchester.
Yes, thank you. Well, again, the work session today is a joint work session, with the county and the mayor and council of the city of Manchester. I would just kind of follow up on the, recap of what's happened with this through the years and the nature of the contract. And then I'll, of course, turn it back over to you guys just for discussion. November of 2015, Marion County of Manchester entered into an agreement to provide recreation to serve all areas of the county. The original term was to end in November of 2020, but in May of 2019, both parties extended the agreement for additional 3 years into November of 2023. Realizing toward the end of 2023, the contract was about to expire, Marion County asked Manchester to consider extending the contract through 2024 to give everyone time to plan for recreation programs, because at that time we had really no discussion of the future of recreation. The initial feedback from Manchester was an extension would require renegotiation with a substantial increase in county contribution and with all programs being ran out of Manchester. And of course, not willing to agree to those terms, the county at that time proceeded to work toward continuation and expansion of our current program. And with a change in leadership of Manchester, the city is willing to accept the extension under the same terms and conditions for 2024. And of course, get together and work on the plans for the future. And of course, if you agree to that, it would be noted in the agreement that any future agreement or extension beyond December 31st of 2024 would require a renegotiation, reallocation of funds, whatever, basically start over in negotiating contracts. Okay. And in meeting with our recreation staff and Manchester representatives, I do think that they both share a common long-term goal, but maybe we disagree on our best approach to get there. I think the understanding is we will need to have county-wide recreation at some point. We also understand we will need to involve all the other cities. And I think the plan right now is to get everyone back together later in the year. And let's talk about that. I don't know Manchester, but all of this. And so today the issue is before you as to whether or not you would like to extend the contract to, I would say December 31st of 2024 instead of the November date. under the same terms and conditions that exist. So that would be the first option. And while that's going on, I really want to point out to everybody that if we do that or we don't do that, regardless, we're going to need to sit down and decide future recreation. Because if we don't, we'll be right here next year, same time, discussing the same problems. So one option, of course, would be to extend the agreement through 2024 in the same terms and condition. Another option could be extension of the agreement through 2024, but modify the terms and conditions. For example, since we're already 6 months into our budget year and 4 months since the agreement expired, consideration could be given to reducing the contribution amount. Third option is of course, not approving the contract and simply moving forward with the county recreation program. But again, I'll reemphasize that whichever way you guys decide to go today, you need to do that with the understanding that we must use the remaining time in 2024 to plan for recreation for 2025. This is going to involve meeting with all the municipalities to develop a plan to serve all of Meriwether County. And without, again, I've said, without deciding future recreation, we'll be right back here next year discussing the same issues. And again, I think this conversation today needs to be between Meriwether County and Manchester. And but everybody else also needs to understand that we will be getting back with all the cities and all this kind of, everybody needs to have input into the long range plan. So with that, let's open the floor back up for discussion. Starting with you guys, starting with Manchester. Kind of outlined 3 options. Of course, there's 50 options out there.
And just for the record, since we're recording, no action be taken in this work. So just a discussion here, we're going to be taken in our next meeting or 2-week meeting or whatever is brought up or whatever month commissioners decides to make motions. So I'm just saying, some of those are here today. We're not going to do it in this meeting. But Mary, you want?
Wait a minute, and to be clear on third option, not approving agreement and then states simply moving forward with the county recreation program. That's in a future tense. It currently is not a county recreation program that does not include this agreement, correct?
Well, the agreement technically expired in November.
I understand, but I'm saying, if we say we don't want to do this, move it, and this says move forward with the county recreation program. There is not one at this date. It will be the generation and building of one.
There is one today. I won't say that it's formalized, but we do have one. I know we with the program ran out of Woodbury that has a lot of teams, a lot of balls there, use of the gymnasium.
That's not a county recreation program.
We never include an action.
Well,
It's not Woodbury's,
No.
city of Woodbury recreation, it's recreation that different ones, Randy Carter and different ones have been working with there and Blue and overseeing. Like right now, they got 164 kids signed up today, 14 teams, play ball at the Woodbury ball.
But we've never approved an actual county recreation department.
it's
Not funded by the county.
Yeah, we if you look back at the original agreement, it says that, of course, the original agreement, section 2, says that, of course, you're contributing a total sum of $740 per year. And it says this does not include the cost of existing county personnel that will be dedicated to the recreation program. Now, in the event the Meriwether County positions become vacant, we one time, a couple times, had a recreation director. If you look back at what we paid less during that period of time. But we did not end up with a recreation director, so we upped our rates to this. But we have always run in addition to the Manchester program, through the Manchester program, we have always run other programs outside of the city of Manchester on recreation program. And we funded,
Where is that being funded from? Out of what budget line?
funded out of county. We funded
It was approved by this board.
it that way.
We don't have the agreement with Manchester. We've been funding other cities' recreation stuff that's not in the contract.
We fund some senior citizens, but we fund, in addition to Manchester, we actually have an extension of the recreation program that works out of Woodbury. It's been in place since we initiated this, and of course, we got part-time people who work there. Y'all remember last year, we bought football fields for that program with their subdivisions.
Right, but that did originate as part of the Manchester and Meriwether agreement. So I don't know where that got to be its own entity there in Woodbury, because it was not voted on. I've been here 12 years. It wasn't like that.
Well, you're right, there's been, as I said earlier, there's been no formal dedication, right? But what we've had is once we didn't have the continuation of agreement with Manchester, you guys said, we don't want recreation to fall apart. So we actually continued it, and I know we're not allowed other folks to speak today, but there's a pretty strong program in Woodbury that's grown out of this.
I understand that. I want to make sure we're
Yeah,
following the rules that were set forth
Absolutely.
and where we at. And so we've actually made contributions of the budgeted amount that we agreed to last year to a program in this county already this year. That is not in the contracted agreement that was voted.
Well, it's not in the contract agreement except for it says that we will dedicate none of this amount will be the cost of existing county personnel. So we have always took this contract, honored this contract, subsidized this contract. We had, a person in Lucasville, working full time. We had Woodbury, they all did work together. Up to a contract expiration, they work together as Manchester Meriwether Recreation. Right. But we have had that program. That program is very successful. Without it, we would not try to do work there. The service to children. Gymnasium's been there, basketball programs, baseball programs, football programs, other events in the community, all have gone through.
There has to be something that was in play, because they just had the basketball teams down there, I think it was 145, 150 kids from different age groups playing basketball in the gym. There's been things down that need to be taken care of, so the county sent the league and different ones over there to get water line fixed and this and so forth for the purpose of sports activities.
We actually have a lease of that gymnasium.
Yeah, with the school system.
And by the way, we need to expand that. Regardless of what we decide today, going forward to include all the fields and all of the right.
But that original contract with the school system for that gym was because we had to do the contract in order to be able to continue the county part with Manchester in the Woodbury facility. So that's why we contracted for that.
Originally, when I first came to Woodbury, the Manchester contract expired.
Mhm.
And board had hired the director. The director was working out of that field in Woodbury, and I say working very here. A little bit of tongue in cheek, because he wasn't there.
It wasn't much work.
They left, it was like they got there with nothing to accomplish. But then, understanding we had that facility, we began to incorporate in conjunction with Manchester Meriwether. Other facets of that, other staff personnel to do the program. It's been a very successful program.
Well, I'm just trying to clarify because it gets a lot of heated discussion and attention across the county.
It does.
And the perception of me before becoming a commissioner and up to this moment, having looked at this and understood what was going on, we entered into agreement explained as Manchester and Meriwether County working as a cohesive recreation department. That's right. Manchester had the resources in the established program. We've not used that and now informally entered into an agreement with the city of Woodbury as perceived by the rest of the county.
That's
That's what I'm saying. So we need to make sure everybody understands, because if people watching, listening, they're gonna read after the fact. We are now informally in an agreement with the city of Woodbury, not necessarily the city, but with the citizens of Woodbury for that recreation that we didn't vote to agree to.
Well,
And then.
what he's saying,
I'm not saying I'm against it completely. I just wanna make sure we do it.
we lease the gym and the facilities from the school board to have, but not for the city of Woodbury. That's just
For
for
this
yeah.
contracted program.
Yeah, and it was part of this contract program.
Now we're funding that program outside of this contract.
We've been, waiting on what you guys would do.
Well, let's put it this way here, when Manchester refused to sign the agreement in November, if we hadn't been doing something, it would have been nothing. There would have been no basketball this past season, their kids. So hopefully we didn't do anything wrong, but as long as we were funding something, that blessed the kids, that's the most
You
important
guys
thing
are
here.
already pre-funded for recreation, nothing wrong with it, a gymnasium that we have used from the school system. It was not an association, not paying, Blueberry anything.
But that's why I want to get all of this out, because I wasn't insinuating at all that we did anything wrong. But because it is
So
a
all
heated,
that's-
Right.
but because it is a heated topic, the perception of some people is that we're paying the city of Woodbury to do a different recreation program, but you're not paying Greenwood, you're not paying Gay, you're not paying this. So I make sure that the citizens understand exactly what you're saying. If we hadn't taken any action, then there was 164 kids wouldn't have an opportunity to do something. We took some action to maintain something going for those
Yeah.
children. Not in the deal with each city and not, without anything in this city involving this.
But we didn't vote to take an action.
No, we did not.
But let me tell you what happened the year before, year before we did it, with the we had a recreation park. We had one girls softball game that summer. One, that's all we had. That was the extent of our recreation. So what we did is we entered into an agreement with Manchester. In section 3, you talk about responsibility. You know, consideration paid of the agreement used by Manchester to assist with expenditures necessary for the operation of recreation programs, right, things, in all areas of Maryland County. And so one of the complaints we had early on, we get all those to Manchester, it's a long way. Well, I agree with that, although we go to Manchester for other reasons, if we want to. But with that, we started looking at other options, and that's where the program in Woodbury grew as part of the extension of Manchester Berry. Because Vic Ives was there, he and Randy and others worked very closely together, and it made the program work. And it gave us the allowance for opportunities for facilities to have recreation. Gymnasium's a great thing to have. There's one that would have been bringing the wheel, looked at it at times to maybe expand the program here. Problem with it was it needs some serious work because there's major damage to the flow. And of course, as we look forward to the future, that's something else we look at. But what we have right now is the contract has expired. We wanting to do a continued program here, which is already a strong program. Continue to move forward with that program. You know, because until we had leadership, we didn't know whether we were going to have that or not. Very with Manchester, and we couldn't let the program fall apart, not all kids. So,
Well, even in one of our meetings before the new leadership came, we had already started discussing that we probably won't have to form and officially vote on some type of recreation from every county to keep kids and keep moving on.
and we are at the end, but you know, the thing is, you gotta have a good place. And we were approaching the end of 2020, extended 3 years. That time elapsed, and one of the guys that came involved with recreation says that if we just keep kicking the can down the road, never get a solution. And so, you know, my thought would be that we either time that we will have left with the current contract or time without however you guys choose to be. But we have got to develop a recreation plan, involve all the cities, and look at what we need to do moving forward. Now, you do that with the extending the agreement to the end of the year, do it without, whichever way you guys will do it, but we've got to do it.
Well, just to share my experience, I did this past Saturday. We got a lot of businesses, a lot of people, parents involved down here in Woodbury. And again, let's keep saying it's not the city of Woodbury program, but in the city of Woodbury is where the ball fields are at. All right, like they were there Saturday, stripping the grass out in field because Manchester fields is dirt. and the Woodbury fields for grass. But when they asked last year to go down and practice on the Manchester fields, because these 7-year-old kids playing here on grass and go down there and play them on dirt, it's a totally different thing. They were told no, they couldn't come down and practice. So what the parents were doing Saturday was strip all the grass, had companies out there, equipment out there, volunteered, stripped all the grass out, hauled dirt in. Now we've got some good looking infield, dirt fields, down there, equivalent to Manchester, and they're looking forward to playing Woodbury, Manchester, and Woodbury, so
My hope
Can I get
would
it?
be that, my hope would be that what we come out with is that the time we're all together on the 2 different leagues, 3 different leagues, whatever. Let's try to make it where our breakdown, we have 8 youth, we have 10 youth, we have 12, where the kids can play with each other. Because there's not enough children in this community to have a team and go around and play with other teams in their city, for example. Start something with Lucas. You're gonna need to really be able to go to Green, go to Woodbury, go to Manchester. Manchester is going to be able to have this play across the area. Because it's we're just not big enough to have each town have its own recreation. And I applaud Manchester for what they have. They work hard to have that. They've done a great job. They were Big Dallas before I came here. I had heard of Big Dallas. There should be no reason I would have heard of Big Dallas other than he was highly recognized in the creation process. And that was a tribute to Manchester. That's a lot.
Let me say this for the record too, because people do need to know. The city of Manchester, the council that we have here before us today, minus one that will come on board sometime in March, is all new members of the city council except for Mr. Warrior. And none of them except for Mr. Warrior were really familiar with this contract. So that needs to be on the record too when we're talking about past dealings.
Thank you. And in that regard, I look at this contract from 2015 and all I know is trouble. That's it. Not well defined. No definition to how things are, except money's going to exchange and there's going to be a program and we're going to build a county program. I would have never signed this to begin with, me as a person. You got to have definition. The reason we're coming to the table is to build a county program. What you're saying, if we have Manchester, now Woodbury has come. Okay, that's great. When is Luthersville's coming? When is Greenville coming up? We need to, if we do not extend to give us ourselves time, because Manchester was doing quite a bit, which I will outline just a bit. We don't mind doing this again. However, I can't do one thing today. We are brand new. This is Mika Lowe, by the way, our 4th council member. 3 of us here were sworn in for the first time in January 1st. I've told you when I was here before. And I still listened, I hope you understand, to all of the sins of the past. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm still coming back to you because I believe in a county program. I still believe in a county program. What this does with some things that I'm asking, this is, I will get to this. This is my definition that I need to move forward this year. And it sets us to have a countywide program that makes sense for each city that comes on board. It's not undefined. When first of all, you know, you're looking at a section 2 that says, can we do other things? And to be perfectly honest, while there may be legality there, it's thin. It's thin. Adam, you're seeing that. You're seeing it. It says here's money, and then okay, you're going to do football, baseball, and basketball. Come on, none of us were here at this time. We're here to do something fantastic and different for this county. That's why we're all here, and that's why I keep coming back, because I still believe in a rec program that has Manchester kids, Woodbury kids, Luthersville kids, Greenville kids, Lone Oak kids, who are playing each, exactly. That's the strongest play that these two groups can do. That's the strong play. But it has to have definition far beyond this. Basically, 8 times in this agreement, it says we are going to build together a strong county program. I will allow myself, and please allow me to say, it didn't happen. It didn't happen. Plain and simple. Were you here then? No. Were you? No. Were any of us? Well, you were in there. Wait a minute. You were here in 2015 on the. Oh, Lord. Hey, let's get them now. Yeah, that's what I was asking. But no, this is a situation that we are trying to further define. The minute we segment any city out, we have a problem. It's not a countywide program. So the question is how we get at this point to a time that things can be launched, can be done. Were they done right? It's past January 1st. I agree with you. Together to come to an agreement that builds that strong program. That's our opportunity.
And I agree 100% what you're saying there. So, but did you say in that, did you bring a contract today that articulates everything you're saying should be, how it should be, a contract that would be more professional that you would sign and want us to sign? Did y'all bring that today?
I have the definition of this contract. I have what I would consider the definition of this contract. We don't have to sign a new one.
That contract, that was 2015.
Correct.
But had y'all or your council, you had put together a new updated version of the contract that would articulate how all the kids be involved, how Manchester's going to welcome everybody down there. Has something like that been put together? We as a board can look over.
I have my issues that I have brought, and they're extensive, to say these are the things that any countywide program, by the way, any city program that they're, yeah, I'm originally Cobb County, so it was the city of Kennesaw.
Mark, let me interrupt and say something on what Gene.
Sure.
That is, I wouldn't even have thought that you would bring a contract today because the whole purpose of this is to sit down and talk about negotiation of this. So
Right.
Go ahead.
No, I didn't mean it's contract.
I know.
No, I have the main issue.
Got a lot of problems with this, then I like to present something that to be looked at to, but no, I know what's on.
Now, this is the concept that I look through and say, the definition of this existing contract should be this. You're not doing these things, handling these things, and not building the program that we're supposed to.
I would like,
Okay, just see back to what I was.
would like to speak to the reason that contract is written that way. If I could, okay, the reason that contract is written that way is number one, we didn't have a strong, defined, outlined, detailed master. Okay, if you don't have that, you can't put the details in there, you'll leave something out, you'll leave up to stop, this is go by somebody there. You gotta have some flexibility there. Yes. With that said, reason the board did this was to allow that flexibility, but also one thing that we've all overlooked and had mentioned today is with this, the board of commissioners established a recreation advisory committee, 9 people. Way too big. What the board's fault, that what was kind of brought to the advice. And I would say that I've been doing this a long time. That was the most dysfunctional I have ever worked with in my life. They accomplished nothing over 3 or 4 years. What the plan was for them to come in and help with the commissioners, come up with some ideas and some strategies and some plans and stuff to do. That's right, they're supposed to do that. Instead, they're worried about who's going to make money off the concession stand. And I want something in my neighborhood. I don't care about what's down here. You know, it was just broken. The board has now reappointed this, restructured it to 5 different persons who I think will do a good job, much more manageable than I think the people will be putting on there will be people who have recreation in mind and not their own self-interest, which we saw a lot of. And, that is one of the reasons that that contract is like that. And the purpose of it was to have that board assist, work with the county over that period of time before the expiration of this, to have these things like you've done in place. They never did. They never did it at all. And in fact, they had.
Anything that I'm suggesting here is not a long-term doing. We, as far as Manchester, this is what much of what we have been doing. We wanted some things we haven't, which has been absolutely aggravating to the whole system. So we need to get that communication. There is no, let me just quickly go into it. It won't, I'm not reading this. You guys can read. Basically, this is just a list of properties that we have and people involved, operational issues. So what Manchester needs to be defined to continue through this year so that we make sure we do it well, setting up for this larger county program. The facility preparation that we do is dragging, cutting, lining, painting bases. That's for baseball. Facility cleaning supplies, lighting. We have done repairs. We've done a full lighting system in a building that was, you were leasing, didn't own, but we replaced that entire thing. Did it cost us more than what we had? Yes, we put in extra money to do that. But without this definition, what's happened, and without the committee you're talking about, which was vital, things did not get communicated well. I'm facing the same thing. Our council is facing the same thing in Manchester just by itself. Communication continued to decline. It was not a back and forth situation to say, hey, I want better entries. It just, I don't know the people. I don't point to people. I'm just saying it didn't happen. So these things are what we need to do just to get us through this year and better prepare for the next agreement. Equipment, baseball, batting helmets. I've heard stories about not being fair or whatever. I'm saying to continue this, I would like this definition that I'm providing. I can rewrite that in whatever form. I don't want a new agreement. I just want the definition to get this one happening this year so that we're not going back to a whole new contract and all of that. This is the definition, and we can add to this if we need more. The referees, I don't know if you understand if any referee or coach has not received the Child Protective Service training, every single person in this room, this group and this group, our personal properties are online if it's violated, because you're dealing with the protection of children. To me, I have to see the paperwork. And otherwise, our own personal property, they'll pierce the corporate veil for this one. If we have a child abused by a coach or a referee or someone that's supposed to be over them. If they're traveling somewhere and they don't have two adults, one person can have a child that's theirs, but otherwise it's two adults. If they're not too deep leadership, it's these basic things that scares the tar out of me, because I'm going, my properties are on the line here because I don't see that paperwork. I want that paperwork to walk through this year. And it's also lining us up to do it better as a county. Because then we have this start to say, how do we improve this? What else do we? Concessions, Manchester handles the concession stands. We handle the interior one by ourselves. We do that. But the band handles the outdoor football. We get a piece of that now. It's like we get 10%. I don't know what happens in Woodbury. I have no idea. If we want to build a strong county program, that has to be defined. That has to be defined to the T so that we're following the same procedure wherever that is. It's a simple thing, but it's how you build a county. How you build a county program. The facility repairs, like I said, we have two owners. The Board of Education owns one of our fields, one of our baseball fields. And we have a long-term lease. We're using one of the football field that we use for our games down there, but the facilities in Woodbury, our Board of Education. So when we come as a county and we have an issue that a floor has to be repaired, or this has to be repaired, how do we not absorb that cost by ourselves, but involve the actual owners of the building also? We have to get all the parties involved. This is the kind of definition I'm talking about. Insurance, anybody using those buildings, where is that? The county is covering, it says county covers, outside of Manchester, yeah. And Manchester is covering the insurance for the facilities in Manchester. As a county, we're gonna have to think about that. And how do we divide that up and make it equitable? Okay, so record keeping is where I see a huge loss here. Huge loss. And to me, as I listen to the stories, which I do, everything that y'all told me last week, I don't deflect it and say, oh, no, I take it to heart and I start looking, okay, there are pieces of truth. Some of it is embellished over, like telling again and again, but there's pieces of truth in all of them. And so I look for those pieces of truth. And what I found is there's absolutely no requisition forms. There's no maintenance request forms. There's no forms. There's no repair request forms. There's no documentation of what is happening with the buildings in any way, whether it's back to the county. Manchester's supposed to be reporting that to you as a board. You're supposed to be getting those reports from Manchester. What's happening with the buildings here if we're supposed to be handling that, and we don't have the requisition forms. Those are things that we can build quickly. We can build that. I'm willing to build this. I'll put my personal time to this, and because I've done this kind of stuff before. It's all process. It's oversight process. And to hold this contract in, to have value, I personally need better definition, because otherwise we're gonna fail. It's just gonna be an aggravation for however long 24 is. What I'd like it to be is impetus and the start of doing the county program, including Manchester. Right. So we know our limits. We know we have our forms, we have our computer program, we have our databases, we have all of that in place to track, control, modify where things are need modified. We don't have the data. We do not have data correctly. Okay. So the supervision, the onboarding of coaches, the onboarding of referees, that these are the things that I will personally put my time to give the tools that we need to do this smart, to finish this contract smart.
This is all discussed this is for long-term county type stuff. This is nothing we can do.
Oh, no. I want to do it this year, 24, starting as soon as you guys sign this tonight. I will start making this. It's not complicated. I will start making these forms. So we put this in now.
What we sign tonight will be the extension of the current agreement. It won't be this agreement until we bring that back, which may be months away. Or I'm not making that an issue. I'm just saying that
No, what I'm saying is, I don't need you to sign it tonight unless we can agree to do 24 with these items. That's what I'm saying.
Some of these things I think that we're probably already doing, may not be communicated, or I think there were sessions you brought back up here for the fees. I do know that we do a program where we check the background on all the kids and coaches, everybody involved. In fact, that's one problem we had early on, which I'll tell some of you guys a little about a little bit later. But we've been very careful to try to do that. And but there gives us need to communicate that.
But according to this contract,
yeah,
Manchester is responsible for those records. We don't have a single one.
I think you're absolutely right on all it is. I just question, can we get it done, still salvage this year?
Absolutely.
There's a lot of work to do there. a lot of detail.
There's a lot of words here. The work necessary to do this is actually 2 weeks long.
Because the gray area in the original contract is what led to, I think, most of the angst and frustration in the county. And to exactly what we opened the meeting talking about, the perception of we're doing things in pockets.
Yeah.
And as we call it, the gray areas were there with good intent, but it needed to be the board of recreation and all those things never went through and followed through. So I agree with all this, what we need to do, but
I'm not saying this,
we can get all that done and help with the program in the next 6 months.
I believe we can. I'm putting my personal time to it. This is not that far. One of the other things here is travel ball rules. Travel ball is something that between 2015 and now, that's a phenomenon that's kind of come out of it.
I tried to start that in 2015. Nobody wanted to do it.
Yeah, it was like travel, but
Well,
what are you
still-
talking about, man? So, I mean, in larger cities, I was in Atlanta and I knew quite a few families involved in it, but it was in the beginning and infancy back then. It was nothing like it is now. So the rules of use of facilities needs to be standard. These are simple decisions at this point in time. We can make sure they have their insurance, make sure they have their training. We can't let them on our field or in our facilities without putting us at risk personally, unless they have this kind of training. And so it's not, it goes a little beyond even to finish the year well in 24, saying, well, we're trying to do that. It's like, no, this can be done now. It's not that complicated.
Well, so I think my daughter plays travel ball too, and I love it. I went all the way to Alabama, Florida, Georgia, everywhere when she played. I missed those days. Let's keep in mind that we're still in Marietta County.
Yep.
If I go down there and watch the ball games, the basketball games and stuff, we don't have like you said, we don't have a lot of youth to begin with. We don't have the parents and the grandparents who can travel to go to Calhoun County Saturday morning to watch the grandkid or watch their baby play that day. They can hardly make it to Woodbury or catch a ride or pay for the gas. So we're not, to me, my opinion, and I know all about travel, we're not at the stage where taxpayers' money needs to be funded.
Well, that's not.
I want no taxpayer money.
And I'm talking about, but I heard that Manchester is going to try to do quite a bit of travel ball this year.
No, that,
No,
that's-
that's
that was-
organization.
yeah, that was a separate organization,
Separate.
and they're primarily,
I just don't want these parents going, man, we can't go watch the play, and we can't.
Travel ball is about one thing.
Yeah.
Travel ball to me is about putting a team together that can beat the snot out of anybody they come up against. And you go and you try to do. That's my perception with
And each
Never
person
saw it.
play puts their own money in.
Absolutely.
They're funding that.
Absolutely. And recreation.
right.
If they're gonna use our facilities, we need to standardize our approach to them, say, okay, this is the way it works. Well, I'm gonna go ask Manchester. Get the same answer, sorry. It's in Meriwether County.
And
So recreation should be skill training. It should be fairness. It should be given a chance to those kids. That was me. Sorry, I was in right field. And I was there one season for the whole time. And anytime I came up to bat, it was like, oh, move up, move up, move up. You know, that was me in baseball. But you know what? Because of a county program, I had a chance to try. And that's what county is to get these kids, you know, and do it for kids to have a
But
chance.
the travel teams there have gotten to a point, because you're right, initially it was like, let's put together a team that will beat everybody. Now what they've done, so many travel teams that they split the tap. Each travel team might have 2 or 3 really good players, and the rest of them are just not bad. If they really want to be successful and compete at a high, at lower level in the World Series, they should stop having all of these travel teams. There are 3 or 4 different travel teams, at least in Coweta that are AU. Okay, well, there's enough. You put everybody in one team, they can be a really good team. You stretch them over 4 or 5
You're
teams.
changing, you're saying to change a phenomenon that's happening,
Yeah.
and I don't even know, like you said, I don't even think we have enough of it for that. I'm just saying that recreation and travel are two different.
Two different.
Yeah, defining that, but there is a point where they can come in and this could be at the end of a season where you brought in an all-star team and then that kind of may grow into your travel team. So there's an opportunity there. The other side of it would be if there's already travel teams, then defining how they get into a league or if they get into a league. If they play regular recreation sports, they should be drafted out. That process needs to be fleshed out, across the county so that it's the same thing. That it's not Woodbury showing up with a travel team and then Manchester's got teams that's been drafted out and then, like you said, they're getting pummeled. I think that's a very important point. We need to stress kind of what they are, whether they're allowed.
In another jurisdiction, I'm familiar with this, because I go all over the place, travel, like that, it's like. The recreation league, when they're in play, they're in practice, they take precedent. Yes. The travel teams have an agreement, they sign the same documentation, they go through the same double checks, vetting all the people who are involved. And they provide insurance, they pay a fee. And they use the field and facilities when the rec team is not scouted. Okay. And then a lot of times the recreation team will begin about time school's out. Well, that's what, travel ball players don't go with.
Exactly.
And so you have ability to do those things. But I agree with you gotta have it organized, you gotta have what you're doing. And all of those teams need to have a liability insurance to cover both you guys and the county.
To make sure, since we're talking about that, and people are gonna be watching this or reading about it, the difference in travel ball is that's a child parent choice. County can't control that or mandate that. If you want your child to play travel ball, that's a choice that you're willing to do to let them go get that experience, and you gotta fund that. County's not funding that. We need rules that define how we interact with travel team programs.
Right.
We also need travel team tournaments to help fund and drive revenue
Right.
for this system.
And we can, that same standardization would apply there. Because where are we going? We're going to build a county program. So
Yeah.
if you do that, Manchester can't have something different than we have here.
To go back to, go ahead.
No, Chairman King, one thing that we missed, I know he got past supervision at location. One thing that had happened at one time, Vice Chairman Worsley may remember, but there were location sites, volunteer people who were at Luthersville, at Greenville, they were at Manchester and at Woodbury, and they were responsible for retrieving and giving out the equipment at one time. And then the lack of having somebody on site, whether volunteer or paid, has prevented other places from developing a great program. I mean, at some point, every player is gonna want to have a home game. I mean, there are resources that we listed. There's a team, there's a field in Luthersville. There's probably fields here that can be utilized in Greenville. But because, nobody's here as a volunteer, those players are going to Woodbury, where there is a volunteer person or paid person that can facilitate the equipment, disbursement, and retrieval. So if we don't have that, then the other areas aren't going to get tapped into, aren't going to get developed. But, lack of that, we're not moving. But I think that's where we need to go. That's one of the.
To go back, thanks. We go back to, you were reading off, one of the biggest issues there, you said there's no documentation. There's no receipts. There's no where it went. So to me, the common denominator to me here today is I've had a lot of phone calls, emails, and letters to me. When do we finally start the Marietta County Recreation Department? Because even though it's a failure, we wasn't here, y'all wasn't here, so we're not pointing fingers. But when do we get to the point where we say, here's your Marietta County Recreation Department, but we're willing to contribute to city of Manchester, because they're the largest city, we're willing to contribute this much, but what are y'all going to contribute? And then we go to smaller cities and go, we'll contribute this, but what is your budget going to contribute? To where that's where it becomes a whole Marietta County team.
That's right.
Because all I'm hearing, and I may be off on the numbers, it's been 8 or 9 years, but we've been sending $150,000 to Manchester for the last 9 years, over $1 million. What is there for me to show my constituents for that $1 million right now? Nobody knows where the money went, what it got spent on. what we did, it's not y'all's fault. I'm just talking out loud.
We're going backwards there, yeah.
So what I'm getting
I'm
at
saying we're
is
making a different
the
decision
purpose of
today.
the contract back then was to help. From what I understand, was to help grow to eventually have a Meriwether County Board of, Meriwether County Recreation Department. Right?
That's exactly right.
That's exactly.
We did that,
Okay.
and that's why we hired a director at that 1.2 to do it, and that just did not work out.
That's what I'm getting at. So we did.
So we're here today to
10
do-
years, Things are still not there. So do we decide tonight or the next meeting that now's the time? Or do we just extend to the 24th, knowing the 25 is gonna be the time? Others, people are asking, when are we going to have our county recreation department by the county? So that's
My opinion on that is that we extend the agreement to some degree to debate that tonight through 2024. So that all of the children of the county have an opportunity to participate in whatever they want to for the remainder of this year under a good, well-established program that is in Manchester. That's the best opportunity for the children, in my opinion. And we have now to the end of the year to outline a better program for 2025. And then we have that year to improve it in 2026 and then 2026 improve it. It gives us the best chance to come out with the best program for the whole county. I don't know.
ball play. Basically got 14 teams, 163 kids ready to start playing.
So then we can agree to do nothing
I'm just.
except build the
Well,
program to start off next.
Basically, if you're talking what you're talking about, which is, okay, well, Woodbury's got it. You're doing the same thing as this. It's just a different city. And so we're trying to move past that. We're trying to move to where we can actually do what you're saying. This is the start. That's why I say, let's do this. And I personally will put my personal time to get the paperwork ready for us and the computer program ready to do this. That's the key to this. The other thing is the documentation, gathering that, and we just put that into place. This is what we have to have if you're playing. And this is what we have to have if you're a coach. So those rules can be very, very quickly established. Why? Why are we going to waste a whole year? Manchester puts in, our total is 380.
Or 50. Is it, did you send it to me? There was more than 300,000 per
I
year.
think it was like 382 at one
Yeah.
point or something like that.
$382,000, which includes the 150.
It includes it.
Yeah.
No, that's beside.
No, that's
Oh,
outside.
And
That's
I'm
150.
incorrect.
And even saying that, one of the biggest.
So 382,
Plus the 150.
and then they add the 150.
And the 150 is mainly used for administrative and equipment and so on and so forth for, development and keeping up of the county fields that's going on. Any registration fees, anything like that that are outstanding, anything like that, that's what it's being used for. But I'm in agreement with not having a receipt, not having an accountability factor, and not having KPIs, because that's what I think we've all failed, not us per se, but as a group, we failed because we haven't set an earmark for times and dates. Key performance indicators.
Okay, there you
So we haven't set targets on what after year 1, year 2, after year 3, what are we looking to see? So if the money's just sitting there and we need a new helmet or we need a new set of lines on the field, then that's what it's being spent on, and it's not really going towards that earmark goal. So, I mean, I know we talked about, some of the money maybe being held back to go towards something else. I mean, I would feel that way too.
Yeah, and my issue was that tonight, to help you guys with your program, help us with the programs, we don't want to stop, we got a business now, we don't want to stop that program. But we need to standardize in some way where the teams from that are there can come down and play the team in Manchester, vice versa. And there's not a situation where you have older kids, younger kids, just needs to be standardized that way.
And I think we should do that this year.
Rolling.
I think we should attempt that this year as best we can.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could too, provided that the scheduling and the signups have been consistent. So if you have one that's it's got 10U and they're trying to play 8U, that's not gonna work.
Right.
But if we got the age differentials, I think it works real well.
And that's why I would say, I mean, look, we can accomplish this year, because if we sign this, I'm gonna give the money. We that field's ready for baseball season right now in Woodbury and Greenville and Luthersville. No. Are you gonna have football fields ready by fall? Possibly. Are we gonna have everything ready to use in those cities? I don't think we will.
That's why-
The what we got now.
Yeah, well, what you had.
Well, the ball field in Woodbury is gonna be ready.
Yeah,
Already, but Bob, since I don't understand the numbers for fields, but, if say the county did send 150, whatever the contract agreement is to Manchester, is that money also gonna be used out of that program back to fields in Woodbury or field in Luthersville, or is all that get you just?
No, it already-
That's what, no,
And
that's.
We've already been doing it. We've already been doing it.
Yeah.
It hasn't been documented well. It hasn't been coordinated well. But that is what has already been happening.
See, our staff.
We need to-
Only until the end of the year, right? I mean, there's been no continuation
Right.
since the previous administration for Manchester. And that's what I have a problem with, is that we continue with the program through the Woodbury, through the county program, whether or not we have an agreement or not. But the program has been continued. Now, should we continue on to go back? Because it was pretty clear to me, previous administration, they wanted to subsidize or whatever. So we need to be working together so the kids can be playing together, that we can be working on joint fields or whatever. But I'm not in agreement on sending where Manchester has the lead now. To me, when you tell me that you don't want any part of what I'm doing, I'll take each word. And with that being said, you've got other people who have stepped up and they're carrying on with the rec program. And if we can continue to work toward a county-wide program, I'm all about Manchester coming in and let's be together. I think that's the whole team effort, is that we all work together. And just to clarify that other cities will be brought in, especially the north end of the county or Greenville or other municipalities, whatever. But that will be another day and another discussion. But for now, let's keep working with what we've got, building together and working with Manchester, but at a reduced level of commitment. And with that being said, the funding would be a source, but there again, we've got the other ongoing programs that we need to focus on. So, that's how I feel.
And I'll say this too, because, Manchester, when we signed these contracts many, many years ago, they were the ones that had the recreation department. They had a very well-established and well-known recreation department. It's not Manchester's fault that we didn't grow a countywide recreation. It is this board of commissioners or previous boards that did not grow that. It is not the city of Manchester's fault, nor is it their responsibility to grow a countywide recreation. It is the individuals on these boards. Okay, but let me finish, because I hear a lot of attacking Manchester, and this is a brand new board. So I don't think any of us would appreciate anything coming across it with like an attack, when this is supposed to be a sit down conversation and try to figure out what's going on. And not one city in this county besides Manchester has stepped up and paid one dime toward recreation, but every city in this county has wanted the county to pay them.
Problem, I agree with that's a problem.
And I will agree with that. I will agree with it totally. That being said, when we went around, a family advice, 9 members was way too many. We could never get anything, any kind of guidance or participation or, other than how to run the concession stand. And there again, we've had a couple of, people that were hired to be the directors. That didn't work out.
I have not attacked you for failing.
I'm
I've done that.
attacking anybody in this
was here because my city failed. I was attacked heavy. I have not done the same to any.
Told that I'm very emotional about it, but with that being said, I try to listen to and all. And then to get some of the emails that I've gotten regarding it, recreation, when we're just trying to work. Member board to be able to help us get guidance, but more importantly, I want this to be a countywide program. I want everyone to participate, whether young, old, east or west, I don't care, but have
Games this year. Not that. Now in the process, approved to join the GRPA. If we can come to some kind of understanding, we would like to play games against Manchester in the future. It would be benefit to all.
Not bring. The person was given a chance to stand up and read and
Yes, the lady
this was
was
right, so.
Cause it with 150,000 not being enough. Now, I'm not saying that we couldn't have negotiated and wiggled and said, okay, the administrative can be on the county and we do this for a reduced amount of money. But when you start seeing an impact to your fund balance, it does kind of create an issue. With 3 council members, there was a very difficult night to come up with quorum with 3, and we had two vacant seats. It wasn't an issue with the county per se, but just coming up with all of us having the same opinions and agreeing on the same thing. That night was not going, we weren't going to come to a conclusion that night.
And I certainly appreciate that, and I can understand that particular standpoint and all, but I think what, what really hurt me personally, on a personal level, was to read it in the newspaper and to see it on social media or whatever, and then to see that the Facebook page was no longer Manchester, Meriwether County. But with that being said, I hope we can move past that. I sincerely do, because I really would like to have a county-wide program.
As far as I'm concerned, the city of Manchester, and I can take a informal vote, is move past that. We are not the same council. We are here to make this work for the county,
Good.
as part of the county. And if it doesn't, then we're doing it wrong again.
Well, it would also be financially beneficial for Manchester to do that as well, because if we can get it spread out across the entire county, it's going to help you all decrease that amount. That's what I've been saying for many, many years. This has come up so many times about receipts and things and the money that we send to Manchester and what is this? But it is very vague in the contract as to what the money is to be spent for. Should there have been receipts? Absolutely. Did we ask for them? Absolutely. Did we get them? Hell no. So that's just a big issue. Yeah, that's a big issue, but I assure you, we did ask for them and we did not get them. But the whole purpose of starting this and doing the contract was in the intent to get this county-wide. Did we fail? Yes, we did.
My recommendation would be to go into 24 to 23 plan. And believe me, we appreciate that $150,000. So, but being new on the council, that's the first time I've seen the contract tonight. And of course, didn't have time to really fully understand it. But if we're going to have a strong county program, I think every municipality in the county needs to step up and pay their fair share. Manchester's willing to bear the brunt of the facilities, but I think it's up to all of us. I was shocked, if I heard it right, that Manchester and the county are the only two people paying money.
Right.
It needs to be, they need to step up if they want to participate. And I hate to say that because I'm very pro recreation and children. But, you know, Meriwether County can't do it by themselves, and neither can Manchester.
And that's been the biggest issue, Mr. Wadsworth. That was the intent that we started off, that the cities would have to participate. If we're looking at doing something countywide with taxpayer money, it's going to cost about $2 million a year to do it annually across this entire county. Where if we work together with the cities, then we contribute a little bit to the city, but the city also has to guarantee that they're going to contribute so much to keep up with their facilities and things like that too, but it just hasn't happened.
Well, I think Meriwether County definitely needs a county-wide recreation.
I do too.
And each city needs to be based upon recycling.
But that's
Obviously, Gay's not gonna do what Manchester
What
does.
does the budget cost?
You know, Lone Oak's not,
Yeah.
Grant's a bigger city, you know, and Luther's is a pretty good sized city. So someone had to figure out how many kids they have in that area and how much they can, but they need to contribute something.
I also think we need to make it clear and differentiate between tribal ball and county recreation.
Even on their city level, there's probably some grant and stuff that they could actually write or reach out for to help contribute to the Meriwether County Recreation Fund.
But-
Even though it's from their city, but to make it a whole.
So
It's
in
definitely-
that regard,
Yeah.
you're looking
Are
at,
they doing it? Have they? I don't know.
We're giving about 39-40%. If you take the total budget of Manchester, the 150 we give, 382, it's about 39-40% is what we're going to match on. So I think we have to look at that based on the size of the cities and what they can contribute and do the same percentage across the board based on what their cities do.
Looked like someone saw the other day and said, well, the city of Greenville, what are y'all pay us? We'll go, not what we're gonna pay, you. What are y'all gonna pay for us to treat? Not what you gonna pay. us.
and in that
We can't
regard,
afford to do that. We can't start.
in that
Funding all
regard, for this
cities.
year, what we as a council are saying is we will also live with the restrictions of this. I would like to, these things, whether we put this into his contract or as an addendum or whatever, I'm still gonna do this. Because I want my recreation department, if they're gonna receive money, to be accountable for it. If I do not, I'm not doing my job as a mayor, and the council is not doing their job with me to have our city run correctly. So if you say, okay, no, we're not gonna extend this. So is Woodbury putting in the money that we do this year? What we're offering is a way to get us to this other picture that we're all painting. We're all painting the same picture. It is a participatory thing. It is, but can we do it now, today? No. I'm not seeing it, so.
Ask yourself this question when you go home. If everybody says maybe the county needs to eventually have their own recreation department that the cities contribute. If we extend it tonight, or that's me, whenever bring the product to be voted on. But we all are thinking next year, we're gonna go on our own, with the city be sitting here again saying, we need to stay together, or they go, okay, do it. See, I'm getting that. When do we finally make that decision to?
See, there's where you're assuming something. You're assuming that we don't want a program if you say no.
No, I know. I didn't assume that. I'm saying
That's not the assumption
whether it's
here.
this year, next year, or 3 years from now, no matter when it comes to where this board or another board, if we're not here no more, decides that, we're not gonna spend that much money, we're gonna contribute to all the cities, we want them to contribute, we're gonna have a Fairwood County Recreation Department.
Mhm.
Would you not still be here fighting to keep it going, or would you say, I think, when's that time?
Here.
Right.
Everybody wants the county.
We defined that.
Yeah.
There's been statements
Yeah.
made that Manchester said, if we do a countywide program, Manchester's gonna continue theirs separate from it. Is that a true intention of the council?
Yeah, that.
I think it's a tremendous financial obligation they try to get.
But it's very critical.
You can, okay, let me answer it, okay? No one else answered your question. Let me answer it. You can go back in our record and you can see in the minutes where that statement was made. That is not in this group. That is not our will. That is not why we came up here tonight. That's not why I came the previous 2 times I've come up here. We're trying to show that this is a different will to build the county program.
I didn't ask you to put you on the spot.
I answered it.
Complexity of what we need to do, so I appreciate it.
I answered it.
The question I have with that is Manchester Recreation currently in an agreement with Talbot County for recreation?
A formal agreement,
Is Talbot County participating in Manchester Recreation?
they have in some sport.
They pay, right?
Yeah, they pay out of city fee to come in and play, but they don't have, I mean, they got like one
player?
either per player or per team, just.
But some of Manchester city limit is actually in Talbot.
In Talbot
Yeah,
County.
we have Talbot County there. But, and I'll reiterate that this question was asked and answered, but I'm going to answer it again anyway. We are not charging a surcharge to anybody else in the county. Now,
That was a very large gesture on you guys' part to waive that.
well,
This year,
this shows our will. I mean, this is a demonstration, a physical demonstration of a change. Do you need to trust words? No. What I'm trying to do is actions here. Our actions are different being here. And so does Manchester, if you say no to this, well, we'll have to do something.
You're not gonna abandon the program. You're gonna.
We're not gonna abandon the program. We have 150 kids signed up for baseball. Who do I want them playing? The county. That's who I want them playing.
Yeah, and I think if I can, I think long term that's a goal anyway. I think there are stages to getting us to where the county has everything or one centralized facility or whatever the case. But to say today we're walking in and if we had the money to just build one tomorrow, that we just walk away from all the infrastructure and just go to the centrally located, that'd be ridiculous to say that. But But I do think that as we stage this out to get the county recreation program off the ground, that there are benefits to having facilities in different locations. It does offer the opportunity to do travel ball tournaments, or if you got large scale tournaments, you want to host a regional or even a national, you know, you
All those
still got facilities to be able to use them. You still have we probably still have a rec budget. We've had one for I don't know how many years. And there'd be a person or someone that has to still maintain those fields and still be available so that when county programs play there, they arrange the referees, there'd still be there'd be a need for other things, you know.
It'd be absolutely ridiculous to your point to enter a countywide agreement and then just abandon the facilities.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Because it has a different name or personal feelings of what city it's in. That would be absolutely ridiculous. And a lot of the county's gonna have to get past the fact that there's a triangle. Look at the map.
Mhm.
Most of the activity and most of the funding is gonna go to, and it goes from Greenville, Woodbury to Winchester. That's where the citizens are, that's where the children are, that's where all the stuff's gonna be. So 75%, pick a number, of all the activities, games, practice fields, the money spent is gonna be in that triangle. And other areas are gonna have to get used to that until it grows enough. And then we can have equally home and practice ability for those kids in those other areas. There's no way around it until we get grown to be able to handle it.
What we're saying here from Manchester is we're willing to invest in the county. We're willing to do that. And this year to work with the other cities to build what we all are looking for. We just need that. You know, I believe we need as a county that a better performing.
I got one other statement.
Conclusion.
I'll make one. I'm gonna be quiet. I hope to. Yeah, well, I may not for that, but for this one, I'm trying to shut my mouth, but, I don't know if we're sitting here arguing about, without saying it, who we want to get the money. There's $150,000 balloon floating out here, and I think most people are concerned with it. Was Manchester getting that? Was Woodbury getting that? Was Greenville getting that? Nobody getting that. And I think that's at the root of what's really going on. And you guys obviously not say it, but you are here needing that money to do county stuff in there. You need some to help fund what you're doing. We need to decide what we're going to do for the rest of this year. I am concerned with it. If we say we're not doing that agreement, we are basically trading one location for another, right, without any kind of an agreement. Even less checks and balances and transparency to what we say is a weak contract in the beginning. So if we say we don't want to go with Manchester and do that money, we can't be sitting here giving it all to Woodbury or Greenville or Luthersville without some kind of agreement and checks and balances in there.
Right.
And we've already started doing that. So that's what I want to be cautious of. And at a minimum, at the end of 2024, there's no recreation money until we come up with a plan.
And we pay
Yeah,
that.
It's not that it would be going to Greenville, Woodbury, Luthersville. It would be getting spent into whatever recreation we have established. That's going.
But with no check and balances.
No, they would have to be getting everything, anything done, like a ball field, anything purchased done and so forth. So just they have to be having it funded and.
What's going to say that? This doesn't say that.
Right.
Without,
Check that, you can see.
the county having to do that. If it can.
Well, the way we do the 150 is we pay it in monthly installments. So wherever we're at, and if we decide to go back with this, it'll start back with that amount. It won't be the 150 go because that did stop. So that'll be an easier way to do the whole.
That would actually, I mean, if y'all did it that way, you know, probably built. Manchester served for their program. It also free up some money for the kids program regarding all the kids with. And I don't think we're gonna make great material difference. I mean, we're a month and a half away from, or less, we started baseball, and that's what the program's up. But I think the decision has to be is how we will do that. And I think exactly right. I think the way what further you guys will agree to or not. But then, you know, again, I get back to what happens after this is decided. We gotta get things straight. There are models in other places that work very well. I mean, very, very well. It's needed. We what we could do is bring some of the models in and we just see how they work here. Yeah, some of these models, the demographics are different, the population's different. But you know, if it works in one place, it might work in another, and we need to tweak it. I'll just give you an example. I know the county, the cities provide all the fields and facilities that they have for recreation. The county maintains those fields, stripes and keeps the separate. The county has agreements with various organizations like baseball, where, you know, this league of baseball will actually come in, they'll have their board of directors, they'll do everything. They schedule, manage, sign up the kids, and they run that program. Now, the reason for that is the issue that you can't really hire county staff to run all this stuff. But if there's programs that say don't fit into that, like football or something else, the county will run those programs. And that way, the budget is not so, you know, so difficult for any one group to do. The group that comes in are volunteers, but they take the fees and all, and they pay the expenses, and they buy equipment and all these things. And there is an accounting for it. And it works very well. And if they're not all in one central location, they're all in it because you need it. That doesn't mean they need playing.
And you're painting the next agreement.
Right, yeah, painting the next.
But there, let me say this, over the years, we've had so many different people with input and saying what they're in their area they wanted. It wasn't the same in this area as it is in this area and that area and that area. So I think before we all sit down with all the cities and the council, we probably need to reach out to individual cities and have their council send in what's important to them for their recreation in their area, in their city, what's important. And then we need to look at that as a whole and then sit down and discuss it. Because if we have 7 cities and a county board come in and sit down, we're never even going to hear each other. So I think we need to start it like that in order to get what is important to that area. Because I know some we've had kickball, some we've had elder people to have that in theirs, and that's what was important. So we need to work at it from that angle.
Oh, we have the
Cities need to be, though, they need to be realistic with what they do. We don't need a city that's very small, so we want to have our own, you know, baseball team, whatever, football team. We have enough kids within that allowable age for us to do that. If you don't, then you need to realize, hey, we got a partner with somebody. But I agree with you, that's would be an important step.
But I do want to say I made some pretty aggressive statements here tonight toward and defending Manchester, but it wasn't that it was a defendant. It's that they've done what I think they should have done prior to this board coming up, or they did not do what they needed to do. This board is a different situation, but I also don't want to take away anything from anybody else that has stepped up after that contract was not renewed with Manchester. So for those individuals that did step up and we continued for the kids, I wanted to say thank you for that too, because that does mean world to everybody. And I think that it's bigger than any of our feelings. It's bigger than anything personal we could all look at, because it's about the children in this county. It's not about me, you, or anybody else. It's about those kids. So that's where we need to move forward and figure this out.
Anything else from any of the council? So, right.
We did need to reserve the work session.
Well, we do have litigation on this work section, so we can get.
Personnel, litigation.
Got a motion, got a second? All in favor? We now going to executive session, we'll come back out and take the stand for the next meeting.